Hey, folks, today is Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, California U.S. Senator Kamala Harris declares for the presidency in 2020. Of course, one of her first stops after she made the announcement on Good Morning America, her alma mater, Howard University. Also, there was a loud tweeting and talking about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on yesterday. Of course, it was MLK Day, the federal holiday. He would have been 90, of course, but a lot of folks who have no idea what he stood for was lying yesterday on social media, and so we'll have some of those tweets. But also, the Reverend William Barber, he was speaking in Nashville, Tennessee at their MLK event. And let's just say he had some very clear and tough words for politicians sitting on the stage, such as the governor of Tennessee. Wait until you hear what he had to say. And also, of course, the National Rifle Association, I don't know what the hell they were thinking, trying to get in on King Day. And even white supremacist Steve King of Iowa was lying his ass off on yesterday as well. We got it all for you. In Colorado, a state legislator thinks that whites were lynched at an equal rate as blacks during Reconstruction. That child ain't got no clue about American history. We'll set her straight. Also, the Oscar nominations are announced today in Los Angeles. Huge day for Spike Lee and Black Panther, as well as Beale Street and Barry Jenkins. We'll break it all down with the head of the African American Film Critics Association, Gil Robertson. And of course, we've got three crazy white people stories, two with white girls painting their face black, and one where a man draws a gun on some black teenagers in Miami. It does not go well for any of these white folks. Also, black farmers across the country are experiencing discrimination, not from suppliers like in the TV series Queen Sugar, but from the United States Department of Agriculture. The same old, same old. The founder of the National Black Farmer Association, John Boyd, will be here to explain. Folks, it's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the fine. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, the presidential campaign in 2020 is into high gear as another person jumps in. This time, U.S. Senator Kamala Harris. She announced yesterday on Good Morning America that she is running for the Democratic nomination for president. First of all, that was not the biggest secret in Washington, D.C. To be frank, she's been running for president, the nomination, since she actually joined the United States Senate. Of course, it was a very good day for her, raising $1.5 million in the first 24 hours from 38,000 online donors. After she made her announcement on Good Morning America, of course, on the federal holiday for Dr. King's birthday, she had her first news conference at her alma mater, Howard University. And this is what she had to say about Howard and being the next president of the United States.
Mr. President, that's the president of the Howard University Student Council, HUSA. All right. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at my alma mater, Howard University. Some people are asking, why are you bringing everyone together here? And it is because Howard University is one of the most important aspects of my life. And it is where I first ran for my first elected office, which was freshman class representative of the Liberal Arts Student Council at Howard University. So this is where it all began. I've traveled our country, and I know, again, I know that regardless of the state in which someone lives, the core issues that are their concerns, that weigh on them, that cause them to wake up in the middle of the night, are usually the same concerns, regardless of where they live. It is usually a concern about how they're going to pay those bills. How are they going to pay the rent? Are they going to be able to retire with dignity? Can they pay off those student loans? These are universal issues. And here's what I would say as a final point on that. We are a diverse country, yes. And some people would suggest that in diversity, when there is a diverse population, one cannot achieve unity. I reject that notion because this is my belief. Yes, we are diverse, and we have so much more in common than what separates us. And when we emphasize that commonality, when we recognize that commonality, we will achieve greater unity. And in particular, greater unity than we have right now, where there are so many powerful voices who are trying to sow hate and division among us. We have got to reject that. It is not reflective of who we are as Americans, and it is not in our best interest. Our unity has always been our strength, and our strength is our unity. I feel that very strongly.
And of course, it wasn't 24 hours after the announcement, a right-wing troll announced on Twitter that Senator Harris isn't eligible to be president because her parents had not lived in America for 5 years before she was born in Oakland. Here we go with some dumb-ass birthers. Let's talk about it with our panel. Spencer Overton, president for the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. Also joining us is Teresa Lundy, founder of TML Communications, and also Malik Abdul, Republican Communications Consultant. So, as I said, not the biggest secret in the world that Senator Kamala Harris is running for president. And what was interesting already is that how folks are announcing. So she makes the announcement on Good Morning America. If you go back to 2008, when President Obama made his announcement, he did so. The state capitol in Springfield, Illinois. Cold, cold day. Did it outside of the building where Abraham Lincoln gave one of his most famous speeches when he was in the State House in Illinois. Then you look at 2016 when Hillary Clinton announced she was running again. Big announcement in New York. What's interesting in this year, you haven't seen that. Even though Julian Castro had this announcement from an audience, you don't have the same build up in these announcements. What do you make of, Teresa? We'll start with you. How different it is this time?
Yeah, so I don't see announcements as being that big spectacle as it used to be in the past. Right? Because now people are like, okay, now that you announce, what next? Right? And so I think what Kamala did was very reassuring to the public. We all know that when you're on any national media network and you're able to have that sit down, you're able to reach millions of people in that one 3-minute segment. And so what I think she did is something that if everybody else had the opportunity, they need to sit down on a one-on-one.
Well, no, but what's her name? Tulsi Gabbard. She announced on Van Jones' show. Kirsten Gillibrand announced on Stephen Colbert. And so, but still was quite. I find it interesting, Malik, when you think about these announcements. Normally, what happens is there's this huge roll-up to it. You have all of your cable outlets, other people out there in terms of, and then there's all of the different focus as a major speech that you announce. Again, it's interesting seeing how folks are not actually doing that.
Yeah, I think part of it is when you look at the bigger speeches, I think part of it is what we have now is the media. I think the candidates are going to really utilize social media. So if you think of the late night shows that some of the candidates have made their announcements, even through social media, talk about Elizabeth Warren in her kitchen. I think Beto, no, not
Now,
Beto.
she announced the exploratory committee, so she hasn't actually announced that she's running for president.
But those type of things, I think these are designed to create social media moments that Hillary Clinton announcement or Barack Obama's announcement in, was it Springfield?
Yeah, it was Springfield.
Yeah, in Springfield on that cold day, they're not built for those type of purposes. And so I wonder, even as they move on into their candidacy, to the extent that these, campaigns will be big public relations, not necessarily substantive. Now, I do think that with Kamala's case, I find the juxtaposition between her announcement on Good Morning America and then turning around and go to Howard interesting. I probably would have made the announcement at Howard. It would have struck home probably a little harder for me if she had made that announcement initially at Howard and then go to Good Morning
Spencer.
America.
Well, I don't know many presidential candidates who've done the first big press piece at an HBCU, right? And I think that
Why
there's
not?
something to be said for that. There's a strategy here in terms of recognizing the base and acknowledging it, as opposed to running away from race and blackness, embracing it in terms of Howard, reminding folks, the fact she did it on MLK Day, the fact that her first big event will be in South Carolina, which is one of the early primary states. It has a large black population. This notion of embracing the base, I think, is important.
I do believe that, to Malik's point, I think social media has also changed that game in that it used to be where it was all about the big event, the big build-up. You picked the right day. You packed it in with 10,000 supporters, and you had folks with signs and all of the sort of stuff along those lines, because it was all about how much free and earned media can you get.
Right.
Whereas now, at the end of the day, look, you have some candidates who say, I can make the announcement this way and still drive my stuff.
Right.
Social media, 38,000 people already donating in the first 24 hours. That is what's interesting. Let's just talk about, but also her as a candidate. You already saw last week in the New York Times, Progressive attacking her and her record as a prosecutor. And then you have, you already see that. Obviously, they're African Americans. I've already seen talking about, oh, no, you can't have that. What's interesting about that is that, remember, you've always had for years that if you were a prosecutor, you had to be tough on crime. And so is she now walking into a situation where the buildup of a career that positions you for higher office actually now can be held against you because the base, to your point, Spencer, is at a different place than it used to be?
That's a possibility. I mean, recognize, though, she's like the DA in terms of San Francisco, right? This isn't like the DA in Waco, Texas, right? This is the DA in San Francisco. She did a lot of things in terms of being smart on crime. I definitely acknowledge the tension between DAs and black folks, but I would say that she's not kind of a standard DA. I would also say that, you know, I think there are a lot of white progressive folks who would say, let's try to separate you from your base in terms of black folks by playing this up. This is something they did in terms of Cory Booker, in terms of trying to say, hey, Bernie is over here on issues. Cory's kind of bought off by companies. And so I think this is kind of a standard Democratic tactic of how do you basically say Cory and Kamala are not progressive enough?
But Teresa, I've already seen folks saying that people who were who didn't commit crimes, she fought trying to free them from jail or whatever. At the end of the day, though, her role as a prosecutor and as an attorney general is going to be an issue when the base of the party is now looking at that differently. Again, where it used to be, if you ran and you were running and you took the law and order attack, that was about appealing to moderates or centrists, or in terms of I'm not uber liberal, even though she's in San Francisco. And I've already seen African Americans say, I'm not too excited about Senator Harris.
Yeah, so Senator Harris right now is a part of the move of the criminal justice reform. And in her speech and everything that she's been doing leading up to and per her announcement was about unity and love, right? And I think those are the key messages that we need to really kind of stay focused on as she's moving into some of these rallies and some of these events, because moreover, when we start to see the Democratic Party and some of the individuals that's coming out of it that has a progressive agenda, I think they're going to start to really piece out where she was on some of those issues and really find the balance as it relates to criminal justice.
I'm going to throw this out, and I want y'all to respond to this before I go to my next story. And here's something that I said when Obama was still in the White House. And that is, black voters are not going to give the next black nominee the same runway they gave Obama.
Nope.
I believe that there are a lot of African Americans who have said, folks I've talked to, I've interviewed, and the sentiment that I've gotten is that we did not demand of Obama what we should have, and we are not going to make that mistake again. I think it's going to be a lot harder for Senator Harris Senator Cory Booker,
Right.
or even if Eric Holder jumps in. It's going to be a lot harder for them to lock up that black support like Obama did in 2008.
You're reading my mind. You're reading my mind. I said this when Obama was in office. You know, a lot of people criticize, you know, and maybe he did deserve some criticism, Tavis Smiley, you know, but things he was asking of a president. And I said then, wait until the next time come around. So we're at a different moment in our criminal justice reform period, where if you listen to someone like William Barr, even in his testimony, listening to him, I was listening to him, and sometimes it felt like I was listening to a Democrat or Hillary Clinton describe where they were at that time and where we are now.
And remember, my reason I'm raising that, remember,
it's important.
Remember in 2007, the issue for black folks was, we don't know if white folks are going to vote for him.
That was the biggest.
And that was after Iowa.
So he wins Iowa, then it all shifts.
Yep.
Well, now that's happened, again,
Not as excited.
and if you disagree with me, that's fine. The sentiment, again, what I have been sensing and hearing and reading is, you're going to have to put forth an agenda that is specific to African Americans.
Right.
That's not this general thing.
President of all Americans.
If Obama kept talking about rising tide lifts all boats,
Right. Yep.
I've been getting the sense black people are saying, no. What's your black specific agenda?
Right.
And then we'll get to everybody else. Spencer, your thoughts on that?
The fact that she came out at Howard, the fact that she is running toward black folks. Now, I would agree that, you got to have some policy prescriptions along with it, right? But this is different. You wouldn't have seen President Obama.
But first of all, he didn't go to Howard. So,
Right.
and so, I mean, obviously that's different. Obviously that's different. But again, Teresa, I think I'm telling you, all I'm saying is, Senator Harris, it's just like I'll tell the story. Like, for instance, when she got to the United States Senate,
Come on.
we kept trying to get her on News One Now, and it was like, okay, so she's doing other shows, and she was doing Rachel Maddow, and she was doing Chris Hayes,
Good morning.
the rest of this show, and then finally she did an interview with Ari Melber, and I called up Tyrone Gale, God rest his soul. I said, Tyrone, I said, enough of this bullshit.
Right.
I said, bruh, I said, she going on Ari's show? I said, when's she gonna come talk to the only black show? And this actually happened. He said, all right, bro, but there's a lot of shows we haven't done. I said, but there's only one
Right.
black show in America.
Right.
And the next week, it was CBC. He said, okay, I'm trying to get on next week. So she came on, and I said on air,
Right.
glad to have you on. We've been trying for 9 months.
Right.
And I wanted to be real clear, Teresa,
Right.
by saying, look, I appreciate you talking
that.
to Morning Joe
Right.
and Today's Show, but talk to home because Obama, after he got elected, it was about 18 months before he came back and did black radio. Tom Joyner. I remember because I sent the email to Valerie Jarrett saying, hey,
Where is it?
y'all need to come talk to black people. And when he came on Joyner the next week, he apologized to Tom for not doing it. All I'm saying is, if you're Harris and Booker,
Right.
you can't do what he did in 08. Go ahead, Teresa.
Yeah, you can't neglect African Americans, but then require us to show up when it's time, for you to get that primary vote. And so what I think, part of the strategy that I know some consultants do in this industry, some of them aren't African American, let's just be honest, that are guiding some of these candidates. And they're saying, look, we need to put you on the biggest platform fast and quick.
Yeah.
But we forget the smaller media outlets who actually gave you a boost, who actually gave you a voice. And so waiting, I'm not in agreement for 9 months and 18 months out of there. To do that.
your point is right.
But it's just, I just want, because, and again, just last point
easy.
here, again, to just show your point. In 2016, what did Trump do? We know that Jared Kushner later said it. They said, we're going to avoid national media. They went to Sinclair.
Yep.
Sure did. Sinclair Broadcasting.
Local stations.
You're right. They did.
And did all those interviews on those local stations. I'm just saying.
It ain't gonna be
Spencer,
as easy.
Well, what I'm saying
and it's not just her.
It shouldn't be
I'm
hard
telling you,
strategy.
and I'm telling you,
Across the board.
and it's not just her,
Right.
because Senator Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, not just
See,
one. It ain't just- it ain't-
for everybody watching,
Yeah.
I got receipts.
Yeah. It ain't just
I got receipts.
Yeah.
I got receipts. And see, to somebody watching, I need y'all to understand, You have a hater who will say, oh, you mad because you didn't get the interview. No, it's talking to the audience.
Right.
Right.
Senator Bernie Sanders, for 6 months, when he announced going through January and February, we tried constantly to get him to do Tom Joyner Morning Show. 6 months we tried. Couldn't do it. Yeah, he talked to Killer Mike. Yeah, Cornel West. Yeah, he sat and had an interview with everybody they put on their website. We kept saying, when are you going to come on Tom Joyner? Wouldn't do it. He kept focusing on Iowa, New Hampshire, Iowa, New Hampshire, Iowa, New Hampshire. And finally, come out of New Hampshire, they go South Carolina. Now all of a sudden, we exist. Say, bruh, too late.
Yeah.
Right.
We did, with New TV One, we did a town hall with Hillary Clinton at Claflin University. I think
remember
it was in
that.
October
I remember.
of 2015. I tried to do one with O'Malley, Sanders. Couldn't get anywhere with it. He goes South Carolina. We finally get him on. Then all of a sudden we get a phone call. He agreed. Then it's too early. He's not gonna do it. And I said, yo, his ass be on early on Morning Joe.
Yep.
Right.
So what happened? I'm telling again, y'all, receipts.
Receipts.
I then blasted him on Twitter for an hour.
Oh, Lord.
I get a phone call from Ben Jealous. Ben Jealous said,
Ben.
Roland, he is doing the show tomorrow. Can you please tweet it out? He agreed. Then they canceled, put him on blast, and he came on.
And you shouldn't have to do that.
Oh, no. But my point, all I'm saying is this here to the candidates. You better hire you some black staff, but you better feed the base. And Spencer, the base are not them young white folks. The base are black people. Final thought.
Her legislative director, Clint Odom, black, when the time very few black folks in top positions, right? Right now, her campaign manager, right? Black. Her sister, Mina Harris, who is a policy director in terms of Hillary Clinton,
Yep.
right? I think this is very different than 2007, 2008, and I think we're going to see something that's different.
Right. But I think we've really seen it after Alabama,
Yeah.
after Georgia or whatever. I think we're going to see Democratic candidates who realize I better take care of folks there because, again, if I don't, there are going to be issues.
Yeah, that's true.
All I'm saying
True.
is, and I'm just saying, there's going to be stuff there. But also, if you're Senator Harris, it's going to have to be a black-specific plan.
Right.
Right.
So I'm telling y'all,
Right.
black folks that I've heard it, they said Obama didn't do it, and that ain't going to happen. You can fool me once, you ain't going to fool me twice.
Right.
All right, yesterday, folks, was the day we, of course, celebrated the life of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's a tradition that companies, organizations, politicians, and others comment, have events, tweet their support out, love for Dr. King. For the most part, they're loving and supporting just one part of Dr. King. In fact, what I always say, they are loving and supporting the civil rights mascot, Dr. King. Now, I'm not denigrating him. I'm talking about how America now looks at him. In fact, let me tell y'all this, just in case y'all did not know. I was going to use this in my speech yesterday in San Jose, just so I can put in perspective for folks about Dr. King. In August of 1966, this is a year after the Voting Rights Act, Dr. King had a 33% approval rate in the Gallup poll. 63% of Americans opposed Dr. King. August of 2011, the Gallup poll, 94% supported Dr. King. 4% disapprove of Dr. King. If you go to 67, 68, massive numbers of people did not like Dr. King. A lot of black folks, because he dared oppose the Vietnam War, also disapprove of Dr. King, including folks who he worked with and marched with. Why am I saying all of that? Because America now looks at Dr. King in a different way, but if we really want to be honest, America has embraced the sanitized Dr. King as opposed to the radical revolutionary that many of us talk about. In Tennessee yesterday, Reverend Dr. William J. Barber made clear to the governor of Tennessee, Republican, who was sitting on stage, to Republican member of Congress, who was sitting on stage, that don't just come here and say one thing about a king if your policies and the things you support are totally different. Check this out.
So politicians can't say they love Dr. King and how he stood for love and unity, but then you deny and refuse to support his agenda. Right, Governor? I mean, since you came, right, Congressman? So, let me show you what I mean, Governor. Dr. King would not have been for a wall. And the hurting, how many of y'all are not against a wall? Everybody here that's not against the wall, politicians, everybody, and will tell Donald Trump, you don't need to be building a wall to separate people. We need to be spending money to give people health care. Stand on your feet. Now, anybody that doesn't stand on your feet, you get the seat. Wait a minute. How many folk in here believe, like Dr. King, that everybody ought to have what Teddy Roosevelt, a Republican, asked for 100 years ago, and that's health care for every citizen? Everybody believes that. Stand up. Now, if you can't stand up for that, then don't say you love Dr. King. You may be seated. I'm just saying, I'm too old to play now. And preachers, don't just think I'm talking to politicians. Just because you can talk about it from the pulpit, but then I'm going to say it like I feel it. They can find you for your pastor's anniversary, but they can't find you in the street with these students and these other folk fighting for injustice. If you are a preacher of the gospel and you are asking your people to tithe, but you are not fighting for them to have a living wage, you are lying.
That's what I'm saying. Go, Fred.
Yes, Lord.
That's what I'm saying. All right, so first, to let y'all know, so they right now, Reverend Barber's people are uploading that full speech to me. We're going to live stream tomorrow the full speech that he gave at MLK. They want to go to my panel here. This is, before I go to y'all, so also y'all, Vice President Mike Pence, you know, he said some stupid stuff on Face the Nation on Sunday, trying to link King and Trump and the damn wall. Press play.
Honestly, the hearts and minds of the American people today are thinking a lot about it being the weekend where we remember the life and work of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. One of my favorite quotes from Dr. King was, "Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy." You think of how he changed America. He inspired us to change through the legislative process to become a more perfect union. That's exactly what President Trump is calling on the Congress to do. Come to the table in a spirit of good faith. We'll secure our border. We'll reopen the government. And we'll move our nation forward, as the President said yesterday, to even a broader discussion about immigration reform in the months ahead.
One word, 8 letters, bullshit. This is what Martin Luther King III had to say in response to Vice President Mike Pence.
Whenever I get to this period, it always is reflective. This year is probably more reflective than ever. Because I wonder what my father would be thinking and ask. Especially since we have an administration and administrators. And Rev said, the Vice President, I forget exactly what you said, Rev, but the Vice President attempted to compare the President to Martin Luther King Jr. Now, Martin Luther King Jr. was a bridge builder, not a wall builder. Martin Luther King Jr. would say, love, not hate, will make America great. Did y'all hear that? Love, not hate, will make America great.
Then you have the NRA saying this out. Today, the men and women of the NRA honor the profound life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King applied for a concealed carry permit in a May issue state and was denied. We will never stop fighting for every law-abiding citizen's right to self-defense. hashtag MLK Day. Of course, those assholes never also admitted that he later renounced that and said that was a mistake, but I guess that's a fact. But now we got to deal with this white supremacist. Check out what this fool, Steve King of Iowa, the man who got slapped down 424-1 by the House, has been stripped of all of his committees by Republicans. This is what this fool tweeted. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his all for all. What the hell is that? I have long agreed with his speeches and writings. Oh, my God. Today, I think of this MLK quote, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Maybe renew ourselves in his teaching so that he can RIP." Boy, go and sit your ass down somewhere. Let me just go to our panel here. The reason I like what Dr. Barber did, and I've done the exact same thing, is it really does tick me off. I can't stand when people try to pimp Dr. King, try to pimp the King holiday. Pence tried to play the pimp game. NRA tried to pimp the day. Steve King tried to pimp the day as well. Because if you are 180-degree opposite of the issues that he stood for, you can't say you believe in his teachings and his writings.
Okay, well, listening to Barber, first of all, I don't know if MLK would have been for the wall, but I wonder if the Reverend knows that there's 600 miles of border wall that's already there.
He does. He's been there.
Okay. So the idea that he's saying that now, so I guess he's saying that King would have been against the 600 miles of
No,
wall
actually,
that's
no.
already there.
What he's saying is that Dr. King went to Germany and actually spoke against the very wall that split.
But we don't know if he would have been against.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Actually, we do.
No, we don't.
No. If you look at a body of record, yes, you do.
We don't know because this has become so politicized. So the idea that we know that he would have been against the same wall that Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden,
Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Malik would be absolutely against the inhumane treatment this administration has actually been providing to folks on the border. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
So you think the wall is inhumane and immoral like Nancy Pelosi?
I fundamentally believe the immigration policies of this administration.
We're talking about the wall.
No. I'm expanding the conversation. The immigration policies of this administration are indeed humane. I'm expanding it. I'm going beyond the wall. I'm talking about the treatment of Haitians, shithole countries. I'm talking about saying,
wait.
We're talking about just comments.
What are the policies that he's done against Haitians?
Leave.
What are you talking about?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Hold up. Stop. Are you denying? Are you denying where he said y'all got to go? Are you Spencer,
we're revoking your temporary protected status here. We're going to single you out among other nations and say your temporary protected status is gone. See you later.
So that's the only country that's...
No, I'm not done. What the man did, he said we also going to screw those African nations that have been helping us fight ISIS and did the exact same thing. All y'all got to go. That's what Trump has done.
Okay, but that's not really what we were talking about.
No. That's exactly what he was talking about. No. What Barber, first of all, again,
is that
because
that preaching in the pulpit stuff, political preaching in the pulpit.
No. Barber's not politically preaching in the pulpit.
That's what he was
doing. No. What he's doing is offering a prophetic voice when it comes to the human condition.
That's a political voice.
I'm talking. No. That is a prophetic voice. Because when you are a minister of the gospel, you are to care about the downtrodden. You are to care about the poor.
But
you are to care about those folks, the least of these.
You should.
You're talking about somebody who's been to the border.
Okay.
Somebody who's actually been dealing with that. And so when you are a prophetic preacher, you are willing to say the same thing to Republicans and Democrats. You're willing to say the exact same thing to folks, whether they're Christian, Jew, Muslim, or Hindu. And so what Barber was doing was speaking truth. Now, Maybe you can't handle prophetic preaching.
Oh, that's I don't have a problem with prophetic preaching.
But that's prophetic preaching.
I didn't consider that prophetic.
Well,
So,
hold up. What,
I didn't consider it
What Dr.
prophetic.
King did, was that prophetic preaching?
Oh, absolutely.
But it wasn't political.
So was Vietnam, when he talked about Vietnam, was that prophetic or political?
Who? You talking about
Dr. King,
Dr.
April
King.
4th, 1967, Riverside Church beyond Vietnam.
Absolutely.
Was it prophetic or political?
It was absolutely prophetic. I thought it was prophetic.
So,
But he's not Barber. But Barber is.
No, wait. Hold up. So King's speech against the Vietnam War was prophetic.
But King was something different than what Barber is.
How so?
I think that King was something much larger than what Barber was. King actually led a movement. We're talking about our time in our history.
Do you know anything about Reverend William Barber?
I absolutely
What
know
do
about
you
him.
think moral...
But he's not. But
Hold
he's
up one
not,
second.
But, so
What-
you're saying that he's the same as MLK?
No.
Because to me it's not.
What I'm saying to you is, this is the same man who joined with 15 others and led the Moral Mondays movement in North Carolina.
Okay.
This is the same man who has picked up the baton of Dr. King's Poor People's Campaign and is leading that movement. This is the same man who's actually led numerous events. When I say numerous, they have talked to and organized and met with more than 300,000 people across America in the last 4 years. So how dare you diminish his movement?
I'm not diminishing his movement.
But you just said
that
he
he's
hasn't
no
led a
king.
movement.
I said that he's
No.
king.
You said he hasn't led a movement.
Okay, well-
So what I'm trying to understand is, how can he be a leader of the Poor People's Campaign? How can he be co-convener of repairs of the breach? How can they transform what's happening in North Carolina with Moral Mondays, have taken Moral Mondays across America, but you don't call that prophetic? That's political.
Well, when I'm talking about a movement,
Do me a favor. I need you to define prophetic preaching.
Roland, we're not going to do this.
Yes, we are.
No,
Because if you say no,
you are upset that I said that he's not. That
I want you to define prophetic preaching.
I don't think that he's king. I don't agree.
He's
with
not king. He's
I
Barber.
don't agree with the politics that he spewed from the pulpit on that particular segment. I don't agree with it.
Hold up, but how is? But now again, since
not
you
something
said
that
that
I
was
don't agree with.
political preaching,
Well, that's
I
what it
need
was.
you to define.
You have the governor, and I guess he's talking about congressmen or something, and then we're talking about a wall. I mean, because that's what we're talking about.
Now hold
actually
up.
talking
He was
about
talking
a
about.
wall.
I'm sorry. Do y'all have the other clips?
Yeah, well, we can watch the other.
He was
clips, but
talking
that
about a
particular-
wall.
Yeah.
He was talking about
And that's
health
what we
care.
were talking about,
Hold
the
up.
wall.
He was talking about health care. He was talking about voter suppression. He was talking about the politics. He talked about voter ID, the politics
Okay,
of the
well,
day.
I didn't see that
but I'm
segment.
still trying to understand, how do you separate prophetic preaching and political preaching? So I need you, Malik, to define, what do you define as political preaching and what do you define as prophetic preaching?
Well, when I think of things that are prophetic, I think of things that we're talking about actually just emanating from the Bible, like principles that we're talking about emanating from the Bible.
So hold up. How can you say Dr.
what we're
King
talking about,
did
but what we're talking about with Barber is not that. What we're talking about at Barber saying that MLK would have been against the wall, that's not talking about things that are that is giving
How
his
can
opinion
you say
on
that?
something.
How can you say King did prophetic preaching?
I think he was a political person. I think he was a political person too.
1 second. When King was dealing with politicians.
Yeah, I think he was
Teresa,
capable
I'm
of
just
doing
trying to
both of
understand
those.
here. I'm just trying. I'm like.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, Dr. King is a prolific preacher, right? As it relates to being a political, as Reverend Barber being a political preacher, I don't see that, because what I heard in the video, and again, we all have our interpretations,
Right.
but from what I heard was him basically telling the people to get up and rise and take action, right? If you're and so, like, if we kind of go into the political piece, I do know some churches that do speak on the political stand front, but I didn't hear that from Barber.
Spencer.
And when we talk about being a good Samaritan, treating the foreigner as you would, your brother, I mean, I think there's so many things that are prophetic that William Barber talks about. And the point here was also not just, is he a prophet, but is he doing what a king would do, right? I mean, that was the whole setup. He was basically, are you really with King? And he was saying that, hey, basically, folks who are a particular place on these issues are not really with King in terms of a living wage, in terms of a wall, he basically that's what he was saying.
And it was the same it was the same Dr. King who believed in the book, The Guaranteed Income, which goes right into the whole point about the living wage. Was that political? Was that prophetic?
We can talk about living wages.
Okay,
I'm
got it.
particularly talking about the wall.
Got
he
it.
chose the wall because it's a political issue, and
Gotcha.
that's what he did.
All right,
So
y'all.
I'm criticizing him for that.
When we come back, we're going to talk about black farmers and the issues they're facing in America on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Our HBCU, y'all don't have it? Okay, fine, I'll come back to it. All right, folks, let's talk about the folks at D Herbs, one of our partners here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Of course, many of us are focused on a healthier you in 2019. And so some folks, for them, they want to lose weight, they want to look better, they want to feel better, they want to get ready for, of course, beach season. Well, what you can do is what I also did is build a D Herbs body cleanse. I got 5 more days left, been on it since 2 Mondays ago. And, of course, it's not too bad. You're good. It's okay. Raw vegetables and fruits and lots of water. And also with the cleanse, of course, people trying to clean themselves out with excessive holiday eating, of course, processed foods, fried foods, and all of that fun stuff, but not always fully healthy for you. Now, your body needs to recover, and the full body cleanse will help you get rid of the toxic buildup that will not only drag you down, but could be very dangerous if you don't do anything about it. If you want to feel better and stop dragging around and have more energy, go ahead and do the full body cleanse from D Herbs. Now, all you got to do is go to dherbs.com right now and use the promo code ROLAND for a discount at checkout. That's the letter D for dherbs.com. You can call 866-4DHERBS, 866-4DHERBS. And again, don't forget to use the promo code rolling. Now, of course, I'll tell you on next Monday in terms of how many pounds I've lost, and also what's the next phase after I finish the D-Herb cleanse. I know the 20-day cleanse, they have a total of 27, so there are others you can do, but I'm doing one that's 20-day, and so go to dherbs.com. All right, folks, let's talk about black farmers getting a raw deal from the federal government. Huge issue. Farmers across the country are experiencing discrimination, not just from suppliers, but from the Department of Agriculture. And, of course, we've been covering this story for years when they had a settlement, and then they had to fight for those dollars. But the question is, what is happening now with the nation's black farmers? Joining us right now is John Wesley Boyd, of course, the founder of the National Black Farmers Association. So, John, glad to have you back on the show. So, what's happening now?
Roland, how you doing, friend?
Doing great.
Your show, and first of all, thank you for having me. Well, right now we've been pressing issues with the government shutdown and the Trump administration, where right now African American farmers have not been able to get their share of the $12-13 billion settlement that President Trump said would be a swift payout to all farmers within days of applying for this payout. Farmers would receive the payment. And I'm personally affected where I applied as a soybean producer. I raised 300 acres of soybeans in Mecklenburg County, Virginia. And I'm talking to you right now from my farm in Baskerville, Virginia. And this administration still hasn't sent me my own personal check for about $15,000, where I was eligible. I'm a soybean producer. I qualify. I met all the qualifications. I used a grain drill, et cetera, et cetera. And now the government has shut down, and these farmers have not been able to receive their payment. And it's over a wall that you've been talking about, on your show. And quite frankly, a wall for people like me is really meaningless, because the president talks about these persons like they have some rare disease or something. He calls them criminals and drug dealers. But Roland, these are the same people that clean his hotel rooms. These are the same people that clean his kitchens. These are the same people that work on his golf courses and resorts around the country. But the president wants to keep them out of this country. But these are the same people that are picking tomatoes. These are the same people picking onions and cucumbers and lettuce and working in the tobacco fields and cotton fields around the country. So there's a real double standard that I see from the agriculture industry and this administration, and it's affecting small-scale farmers and black farmers just like myself.
And so the question is, what's next? I mean, you're at the mercy of this shutdown.
I'm at the mercy of this shutdown, and right now, this is a country where Philanthropists give to all sorts of causes and stuff. But this is America, and they generally help those that are in need. African-American farmers are in need. The top 10 banks in this country haven't been receptive to lending real money to African-American farmers. The average size of a black farm, Roland, in this country is 50 acres. 50 acres. And, we've lost land at 3 times greater rate than any other race in this country. And it's time that we put back in the importance of the black culture of farming, agribusiness, land ownership. And I'm encouraging African Americans around the country to buy some land. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a farmer, but buy some land, because God don't make no more land. It is He make a new Cadillac and Mercedes-Benz. They're coming off the line real quick. But God doesn't make any more land. So there's things that we can do as a group of people to support black farmers. And there's a lot more that this country can do to be more receptive to the very people who made, I'm going to use Trump's line, made America great.
Spencer?
That's right. It was black people that did that.
Right.
We made cotton king and tobacco gold, And here we are, many generations later, and we're struggling because the government doesn't treat us fairly. The industries doesn't treat us fairly. Like I said, the banks and some of these buying stations that buy crops and things from black farmers treat them very poorly out here. And there's really no regulation out here, which is the major problem. When these things happen, who do you complain to? And what do you do?
John, type 1 second. Spencer, go ahead.
So, Mr. Boyd, is the money that's owed to farmers right now, is that just money that was owed to them anyway? Is it as a result of Trump's trade policies and basically paying farmers some money because they're hit hard because of retaliation from other countries? What does that stem from?
Let's take the Trump tariffs. What that did to farmers in whole, not just to black farmers. For instance, in 2012, 2013, I was selling soybeans at $16.80 a bushel. That same bushel of soybeans are selling right now today for $8 a bushel. That is a 50% reduction because of the president's tariffs in China. He wanted to go and play footsie with China, but China buys 90% of U.S. soybeans from America. So when he took that market away from farmers, the bottom fell out of the soybean. I'm just using that one commodity because that's what I raised for the past 35 years. Mm-hmm. $8. So can you imagine taking a 50% reduction in pay? Right. And that's what this administration has done to farmers in this country.
All right, then. Well, John Boyd, I appreciate it, and we'll keep fighting a good fight.
Thank you, and keep doing what you're doing, Roland, because people are listening. I
appreciate it, brother. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, got to go to a break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk Academy Awards. A lot of black folks have got nominations, including Spike Lee for his first ever Best Director nomination for Black Klansman. That's next on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
If you cannot find peace within yourself, you will never find it anywhere else. Singer and composer Marvin Gaye.
All right, folks, HBCU Giving Day University is Fayetteville State University, founded in 1867. Of course, notable graduates include Ophion Crockett, Darrell Armstrong, Marvin Lucas, and Belinda Gay. Of course, you can donate by going to uncfsu.edu. That's uncfsu.edu. All right, folks, let's talk Oscars. Nominations came out today for the Academy Awards in Los Angeles. And, of course, remember, it was just a couple of years ago, where Oscars So White was trending, and so they've been trying to do their best, but we still know what the deal is. But let's talk about some big nominations that came down the pipe. Spike Lee, remember last year Spike Lee was provided one of the honorary Oscars for his body of work, but this year he received his first ever nomination for Best Director for the movie Black Klansman. Now, there were Spike Lee has been nominated 2 other times, but he also got nominated this year in Best Adapted Screenplay. And so this is how Spike Lee and his wife Tanya reacted when the nominations came down this morning.
His phone's blowing up.
Okay, pretty interesting reaction. I'm sure Tanya is saying, did y'all actually shoot that video with that on my head? I'm going to send her a text later. Mahershala Ali, of course, nominated for Best Supporting Actor for the movie The Green Book. Homegirl Regina King nominated Best Supporting Actress for If Beale Street Could Talk. She did not get nominated for a SAG Award, but you remember she won the Golden Globe for that movie. Barry Jenkins, who last year won with Best Picture for Moonlight, he was nominated, and also he won an Oscar last year for a screenplay. Well, he was nominated this year for Best Adapted Screenplay for If Beale Street Could Talk. And this was the tweet that he sent out right here. I'm always overseas when nominations come out and I don't watch. Instead, my publicist slips notes under my door and I find them when I return. Much love from the Beale Street family to Queen Regina King and my right hand, Nicholas Bertel, on the Oscar noms. Now, guys, they showed just the text there, but I got to show y'all the actual photo that he posted on his page. And so, Henry, see my iPad? All right, so y'all, this is the actual photo right here. And so so you see here, there's one note. And here is another note, and here is the third note. And so maybe it's best when they drop Oscar nominations that he go ahead and just stay out of town. And so he won't have to worry about that. Let's also, Ruth Carter, folks, she's been nominated numerous times for Spike Lee movies for an Oscar nomination. She got this nomination for Best Costume Design for Black Panther. And here is how Ruth reacted.
Hey, good morning. What a great morning it is. I got nominated this morning. That makes this morning like the morning of all time to be alive in the world. Yes, me nominated.
All right, so I've been chatting with Ruth and her people today, so look for her to be on Rolling Martin Unfiltered soon. Terrence Blanchard, he's done many of Spike Lee's original scores, including Malcolm X. He got nominated for Best Original Score for Black Klansman. Hannah Beachler got Best Production Design nomination for Black Panther. She is the first African-American ever nominated for Best Production Design. Also, Black Panther was nominated for Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and also Best Picture. But Ryan Coogler, who directed the movie, wasn't nominated for Best Director. Also a nominee for Best Picture, Black Klansman, nominated, of course, directed by Spike Lee, and The Green Book, also nominated for Best Picture. Talk about interesting there. Now, let's just be clear. Y'all know how we roll. And so we talk about many of these movies. Of course, very soon, the NAACP will be dropping their nominations for their awards. We'll be, of course, presenting that as well. And so we talked about also Golden Globes, SAG Awards, and some of the others. And so it's important for us to highlight all of those. Obviously, when it comes to the Oscars, and that's a huge deal in the industry because that is considered to be the creme de la creme. Right. Here's the thing on when you talk about this idea of going back to Oscar So White. But most people who don't really understand Hollywood is that movies are in the pipelines. Mm-hmm. So you can have, so you take Oscar So White, which was 2 or 3 years ago. All right. You literally have some movies where the development is 3, 5, 10 years. Right. So when we talk about you look at those number of nominations, but the reality is, in the top categories, only 4 people of color were nominated out of the top 20 category for Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting, and those categories. There were no female directors who were nominated. And so when you talk about movies starring us, directed by us, written by us, that's also a pipeline issue. And so part of that was about how do you get more of those movies in the pipelines. And the same thing, even though Rich Crazy Asians did not get nominated, again, I think because of the success of that film, you're going to be seeing more of those films that star Asians as well. Just your thoughts on the roundup there of the nominations.
Hey, first of all, I'm still on the Wakanda high from last year. I don't know when I'll get off of it. Yeah, I can't wait to go back and wear my dashiki, go back to the theater.
Now, why don't you wear it on the show? Hold on, let's see if you got the courage to wear it on the show, like Greg Carr does.
Next week.
All right.
Next week.
All right.
I'll be on the show.
Come here with your Republican bow tie. No, hell no. I don't want no Kente Claus bow tie. I want to see Malik walk his ass on this show. I want to see Malik bring his ass on this show in a dashiki. That's what I want to see. Republicans gonna stop returning every phone call he got.
But I just want to say real quickly though, these are I really do get excited when black people, when we are going places where they tell us that we can't go. So whether we're, I don't watch awards, I really don't follow them, but whenever we're winning, I think for me, if one of us is winning, all of us are winning. So I'm always going to be excited to see, whether it's award shows or running for office or whatever, I'm going to always be excited to see that.
Yeah, I want to see more participation regarding like the social status of kind of like I always see the negative, like when 4 people are being chosen, but we neglect to forget about a woman director. Yeah. So for me, I love seeing the directors and the writers. Me personally, those are the ones I'm always having my eye on because those are the ones really like the thought process behind the entire narrative, right? And then actually bringing that vision to light. So when I don't see us reflected, or actually bring it up in the awards, I definitely get disappointed. And now I'm like, I kind of go back to the speeches of Viola Davis where she stood her ground and said, look, we need to be more so a part of the conversation. Right. We need to be more so at the table. And, but when I see that, it kind of makes me reflect to that.
So Spike Lee, overdue. I mean, you think about movies that have stood the test of time, like Do the Right Thing, The Issues Today. So Spike Lee.
3 of his movies.
Malcolm X.
3 of his movies are in I think it's the Library of Congress or the National Film Registry. It's one of those. But go ahead. But to your point.
Yeah, just fine work. Regina King, outstanding performance here in terms of nuance with regard to Beale Street. So excited about that prospect. And finally, for all these people who are making decisions about where they're going to go to school, I really want to point out Ruth Carter, Hampton University, a lot of illustrious alumni from Hampton University, Ruth Carter in terms of Black Panther costumes.
Well, one of the things that I am, and so folks, as we're talking, the reason I'm actually going over Spike Lee's Instagram page, because I wanted to find, because when he was on Capitol Hill, he posted a photo that I wanted to show y'all that he was talking about. But one of the things that I think is important, what I like about this is also you saw the variety. So when you talk about production design, sound mixing, that's important because those are jobs.
Right. Yeah.
And and I've done a lot of a lot of interviews with black talent, but also directors. And it's important for us to let people understand. David Talbert talked about this when I did one of the screenings for Almost Christmas, that those are jobs. And so we can't be locked out of those jobs too. A lot of people get so consumed by what happens in the front of the camera.
Top. Right. Yeah.
But when you talk about breaking down barriers, yes, all of those crew jobs, those folks who, when you talk about Terrence Blanchard being able to do one of Spike Lee's movies and then with original score and now parlaying that to other movies. When you talk about Ernest Dickerson being a cinematographer on a Spike Lee movie and going on to do other movies and then also directing films, we must also be letting our children know that you can be in movies,
Yes.
but you ain't got to be Viola Davis.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And, you know, and you said something that, and it's resonated. You talked about the pipeline, and I really never thought of these sort of things in that context. So if you're talking about, so you said something about cinematographers, you know. There are, you know, we can create these opportunities for each other. We just have to reach back.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times we don't do that. We don't reach back. You know, we talk about, you know, people want to be rappers or, you know, singers or whatever, but the sound mixers, you know, the people in the production room, you know, being able to work those boards, that's a skill set. And I think we need to be encouraging each other to do those type of things, reach back to each other, help somebody out. You know, there's so much money to be made. There's so many opportunities out here.
Here it is. This was a tweet that Spike sent out on January 10th. The Library of Congress, the National Film Registry. Spike, go to my iPad. Spike, 3 of Spike movies. In fact, the year of Do the Right Thing, I believe it was that year, and Spike is still pissed by it. That was a year that Driving Miss Daisy won the Oscar for Best Picture.
Right.
But Spike always notes that Driving Miss Daisy ain't in the National Film Registry.
What are the other two movies?
It was
Malcolm X? I know it, Malcolm X.
I gotta see what the other, but he said there are three of Spike's films are in the National Film Registry. The National Film Registry, the Library of Congress.
Okay.
3 of them. And so again, just for folks to understand, again, all those other wins are vital. And so when you talk about adapted screenplay, Barry Jenkins is an Oscar winner because he won last year. And that's crucial that we also break those barriers down. That way our writers are getting their scripts out. Then all of a sudden the people who are building sets and who are talking about clothing and costumes. Then when you talk about, all of those jobs pay.
Can I just say something very
Malik
quick?
and Spencer real quick.
And just, you know, so you guys probably, you can't see it, but what we're talking about, Roland does that with his show. So Roland's show, yes, it's diverse, but Wakanda is on the set in Roland's show.
Because the same
They're
thing.
behind the cameras.
It's
They're
the same
doing
thing.
the work.
So when Regina King announced that, she said, "Hey, all my future projects, 50% of the crew is going to be women."
Right.
Oh, wow.
And somebody asked Spike Lee about that on the set. Spike said, "That ain't new to me."
Right.
Spike said, "I've been doing that." Because the reality is, it's about how do you use your power to say, no, I'm going to put people on. I got to give y'all just real quick before Spencer comment. When Spike did Malcolm X, so the Teamsters control the trucks. And so when we talk about a movie set, a lot of people haven't been on a movie set.
Right.
And folks, I've been on numerous movie sets. And so guess what? There's transportation. There's catering. The catering contract is huge because you got to feed the crew every day, sometimes for 2 and 3 months. The transportation contract. So what Spike said is, the Teamsters, so Spike had the fruit of Islam. And so the Teamsters roll up and said, "We're going to shut your movie down unless you have Teamsters driving these trucks."
Is that the union?
That's the
The Teamsters.
Okay. Yep.
Spike said, "The fruit of Islam going to deal with y'all unless y'all go find some black truck drivers in the Teamsters union."
Because you got them.
No, they ain't have them.
Don't. You'd be surprised.
The next day,
They found him.
they found them. But the only reason those black truck drivers
Was because he said.
got into the Teamsters union because Spike said, "Y'all ain't driving nothing on this movie set unless y'all have some black truck drivers." The same thing he told media. "You want to come interview me about Malcolm X? Send a black staffer." It caused all these white folks like, "Oh Lord,
Get the contact book.
They looked around. It was kind of like, "Damn, we don't have any black staffers." Yeah, we knew y'all didn't.
Right.
But again, that's how you use your power.
Right.
Teresa, go ahead.
Yeah, so from experience, I have a lot of good friends that have the SAG card, so that's pretty much, you're part of the actors piece. 2 of my friends went from acting actually into the production side. So they're working out in Atlanta doing location scout and production, doing really phenomenal things, but also, to your point, doing the give back.
Yep. And so again, folks, we're going to have several of those nominees on Roland Martin Unfiltered before leading up to the Academies. And so you want to keep watching our show. And again, ain't nobody else doing black TV. Nobody else. And if they are, they ain't doing the way we doing it. And so I want to thank Spencer, Teresa, and Malik for being on the show. I'm looking for that dashiki next time you come on here. And I ain't talking, don't come on, I ain't talking about a kente cloth bow tie. I want to see the full damn dashiki. But if you do, be sure to put some lotion on your elbows before you come on here. All right, folks, please support Roland Martin Unfiltered by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com on the show. It's important that you do. I want to thank all of you also this weekend who looked at our live stream. We had some amazing interviews. And again, this is one of the reasons why I keep saying why it's important for you to support this show with your dollars, because it allows us to tell the stories that other folks will not tell. And so over this weekend and yesterday, you saw 1-hour interviews with the likes of Labor Leader Bill Lucy, Clarence Jones, Dr. King's attorney. We also live streamed Juanita Abernathy, the widow of Reverend Ralph David Abernathy, Reverend C.T. Vivian, Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., Ambassador Andrew Young, Zernoda Clayton, Congressman John Lewis, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, Claiborne Carson, who leads the King Research Institute at Stanford University, and also we talked to, again, it was just amazing listening to all of those stories, and also Dorothy Cotton, who was the only woman who was in the inner circle of Dr. King, plus Bernice King and Martin Luther King III. Now, coming up next on Roland Martin Unfiltered, we're going to end our broadcast, but then we're about to live stream this interview, the Reverend Dr. James Lawson. Now, I need all of y'all to listen to me. Kill the music. I need y'all to hear me fully. Every single one of you needs to watch this interview. First of all, Reverend Lawson is 90 years old. Reverend James Lawson led the Nashville movement during the Civil Rights Movement. Many of the civil rights workers who went to the SCLC, he trained in the Nashville movement. Reverend Lawson was working in Memphis when the sanitation workers went on strike. He was the one who made the call. If the union told him to do so, he called Dr. King to invite him to Memphis. The reason I want you to listen to this interview, because this brother breaks down organizing and mobilizing. You need to listen to this. He might be 90, but what he has to say in this interview applies to 2019 in every way possible. The jewels that he is dropping in this interview are amazing. Now, I've been reading stuff and I always want to interview him. He is not a name you commonly hear. And in the interview, he's going to tell you what his role was. And he said, look, I got no problem being behind the scenes. That's what my role is. But I always wanted to do the interview with him. So let me just tell y'all real quick what happened. We went to LA in October of 2017. We interviewed Dr. Lawson. Phenomenal interview. And he didn't want to do it. We took it back. It was supposed to be for an MLK special for TV One. Y'all, we brought Henry right now is about to throw up because he was so angry when this happened. The folks at TV One never ingested the interview, which means they never saved it. It got completely wiped out. Now, y'all got to understand. I am scared to death anytime you're dealing with an older black person who you interview because, again, no day is promised. The interview was lost, y'all. The whole interview. I was livid. So I was doing these interviews with Be Woke Vote, and we were shooting that for 3 days, and I knocked out my stuff in the first day and a half. And then I was talking to somebody about Dr. James Lawson, and I said, well, what the hell? I should just call Dr. Lawson right now. And it took some convincing, but he agreed to come down the next day. When he was done with this interview, the whole crew, 30 people on the set, were just completely quiet. And they were just in complete awe of what this brother had to say. Y'all gonna see what I'm talking about. And so you want you to keep watching, but that's why supporting this show makes interviews like this possible. So that's coming up next right here in Roland Martin Unfiltered. So I want you to go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, join our Bring the Funk fan club, use the Cash app. You can utilize Square, you can utilize PayPal, but your dollars makes these interviews possible. And so, I'm about to end this show, but again, as soon as we finish here, that interview with Reverend Dr. James Lawson coming up next, it is going to blow you away, I guarantee it. All right, folks, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Power! You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.